Coming to have a good time tonight.
Hey everyone, welcome to Moses and Friends. I am your host and backline worker, Moses Storm. This is the show where we take all of our favorite people from Team Coco. We put them up live in your living room. We have a great show today. My first guest, you've seen her on Two Dope Queens. She has a podcast called Couples Therapy. Please welcome the very funny Naomi Ekperigin. Naomi, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Moses. You're looking well.
I tried for this. This is the best I've looked in a week, and I've been prepping for this. Mm-hmm. You look great. Thank you for dressing up.
Well, honey, I need a reason. They're just clothes sitting in the drawer. They're sitting in the drawers. They haven't been touched.
Have you bought anything, like any new clothing item yet?
I will tell you something. I bought 3 pairs of shoes, all heels, because they were on sale. And I know I have nowhere to go, but I said, you cannot pass by a deal. You can't.
Yeah, I've done two pairs of shoes. Tennis shoes have not been out yet. And now I don't want to take them out. Too much time has passed where I'm like, I can't. They've been with me for this whole process. This is really weird. And please tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I feel like for a lot of comedians, they really need an audience. But for someone like you, at least the way you perform, I was just rewatching your Two Dope Queens set and then some of your rants you do online. It almost feels like you don't need an audience to do your thing. You just barrel through of like, this is my idea. You're either here or not. Is that something that you feel, or do you still feel like thinking like, I need it every 15 seconds?
I miss an audience. I miss it so much. I do feel like I need it to feel as though my rant has done anything for anyone but myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like,
right.
Who is that for? You self-indulgent fool. But if you have laughter, it's like, wow, I've helped people. I've connected.
Right.
I think that's always kind of helped me. I think that, this idea that, because I think part of why I started out being a little conversational and not too structured, I think it initially started out of being afraid I wouldn't get the laugh. You know how sometimes in the comics, they have that cadence because they know that laugh is supposed to come here.
Yeah.
And I could never be sure. So I sort of never really gave myself those pauses or that sense of this is the one spot you're all supposed to crack up at.
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying. Because as a comedian, you're watching that pause and you feel when it doesn't go well. And someone's like, and that was the whole watermelon. So anyway, but you guys don't like that. Just,
the whole watermelon. You say it again, hoping you can kind of set it up. And the extent to which, sometimes you might want that laugh to propel you forward. And if I'm gonna propel myself.
Is there any colloquialisms that you have a pet peeve with? Like mine, just for example, is just like, what else? What do you guys want to talk about? What do you mean? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? You're the one with the lights on you.
You know what I've never liked, even though I wouldn't think about it, only because you've asked, I realized I never like, for some reason, I'll leave you with this. There's something about I'll leave you with this. It's like when you get the light and you're about to wrap up, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the phrase, I'll leave you with this, that feels a little too, thank you, sir. Well, all right, master.
I think it's a way of letting the host know that I know the light has happened.
Yes.
And this is going to be longer than 30 seconds.
Right.
Is what that means. I am going to run the light. So I'll leave you with this. So growing up, it wasn't always easy. I start my full one-man show there. So you've had the podcast to really keep you busy, but the complicated thing is you do it with your husband.
Well.
So it is like a work relationship. Has that been beneficial for you guys, or have you noticed that just couple fights kind of bleed into what would essentially be a work fight?
Well, here's the thing. I think if you are living with your partner in the pandemic, you are probably struggling with distance, wanting some of it, okay? Getting a break, okay? Moses, I've always said before pandemic, I said the key to a relationship, you gotta miss a bitch. Okay, you got to have some time where you ain't seeing that person's face, Moses, if you want love to work.
Yeah.
And so here we are in the pandemic. It's an apartment, honey. It's an apartment. I will sneeze in the living room. He'll say, bless you from the office. And I don't like it.
That
Moses.
is no privacy. No, I'm also quarantining with my partner, and it's a one bedroom. I mean, it's shutters is what covers the bedroom. There's nothing, I hear mouth sounds in the next room. I hear someone's mouth working.
I know, it's too much. And so then then we go to do the pod, and I find that the hardest thing is just having something to talk about. I know some people who have started podcasts in the pandemic, and I'm like, there's literally less to say than ever.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the new episode? What we do? We walk to the couch. I don't have anything to bring to this podcast, Moses.
Yeah. Well, it does feel like even the small shows I've been doing in backyards, it does feel like everyone's talking about the same thing because everyone is home. Mm-hmm. Everyone has the same stir crazy and then the same news cycle. So it's really hard to be like, I accidentally bumped into this person on the bus. There's no personal takes anymore.
Right. I find I've been going to the past, if that makes sense. Just thinking about stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, that childhood memory might make for a funny story, or that phone call with my aunt could be something, you know what I mean? Stuff that I would have never brought up before, but I'm like, honey, I'm digging.
Just kick up family drama for material, just be like, hey, remember that aunt that faked a heart attack? What was that? Really get into it just to generate material, because it is a point where, yes, it is hard to have a new experience that is original. And then 2, the turnaround of material. Have you done any outside live?
No, I haven't been
safe
out.
shows?
I haven't been out. How's it been?
It's been awful. Everything that would have been a hell gig last year that you'd be like, absolutely not. I'd rather eat a gun, is now like, hey, thank you so much for having me on that show. Would love to come back in 2 weeks. So every like outdoor, performing for cars, performing for clap machines.
Right.
The worst case scenario is just a small taste of what it used to be. So then that makes it the best show.
Right.
And then material, more to your question, is like the material needs to turn over even faster now.
Right.
Because so much has happened. If you did something about GameStop, you'd be like, wow, she's dusty. And that was like 2 hours ago that happened.
Right. Did you buy any stock?
No. I don't know anything about it. And I also am aware that it's not interesting to say, I don't know anything about this. That's like the guys are like, sports. It's like, yeah, I respect it. I don't get it.
I tried to learn about it early in choir, especially because I was like, you know what? If we all about to die, I need some bunker money. And I felt like these old white men, they got bunker money. And I said, I'm going to learn. And then your girl bought some Moderna stock and sold it immediately before it became money. So I don't know what I'm doing, Moses. What I'm telling you is I don't know what I'm doing.
After vaccine you bought?
No, before. I bought it when it was low, baby. When it was low, baby.
Oh. And no profit?
Because I didn't understand that you're supposed to hold on to these things for a long time.
I didn't know until you said that you didn't know that you should hold on to it.
And I was like, well, it's not moving. No one seems to be, it's not moving. So I guess I'll just give this back. And I thought you almost just like traded it. Do you know what I mean? Like I pretty much just like was like, okay, I gave you this. Now give me that money back. And it's like, that's not what just happened, girl. You just sold stocks. I just thought I was getting my money back.
Right. At the height of their success.
Yeah, I thought I was getting a refund.
I have enough to like worry about with social media and try to post to like then worry about my Robinhood app. I feel like you've kept on track though, because these things, you could easily find distractions that would take you away from the larger goal. I think you want to be a performer. You want to be a writer, a performer. And I think the podcast is allowing you to do that. You're still getting your voice out there.
Your girl's doing Instagram videos. I just need to know that someone's seeing me.
Yeah, accurate. Incredibly accurate. Your Trader Joe's went pretty well online. I connected with that.
Did you connect with that content? Do you go to TJ's?
Yeah, well, we go very rarely. We have an immune compromised person with us, her mom. So I go in a full gray hazmat suit, a gas mask. So I get people like taking photos of me, like liberal cuck. But exactly what you said, people should look it up. I mean, you have a whole game plan to go in there.
Yeah.
I think it got me as you were talking about how people were smelling fruit.
Yeah.
Like they're taking off their masks to be like, is this good? Is this lemon good?
Like Moses, it's a pandemic in and out. You ain't Ina Garten. They up in here trying to get the ripest. It's like, Henny, this is survival. Also, it's Trader Joe's. You're no culinary expert. Okay, we're all at TJ's because the price is right. So if you could just back up on that whole thing, because I will tell you the last time I went, because I go to Trader Joe's now every 6 to 8 weeks, me and my betrothed, we each take a cart, honey. So you got 2 carts piled high by the end. But I went in, I have asthma, and I was allowed to go during senior hours, honey. So I was there.
Oh.
It opens at 8. I was there at 8:15. Whoo, that was beautiful. I'm telling you, it was just us and like 11 old people. But this is what I'll tell you. Again, at 8:15 a.m., already out of cornflakes. Come on. Already out. Who's buying the cornflakes?
These seniors. It's the one food they can enjoy. Are you getting looks from the other seniors because you look young and healthy?
Well, as soon as we walked up, and it was funny because I called in advance, because that's like one of my nightmares. This idea of like being turned away or being in front of people and then being like, get out of here, loser. So I called in advance, and It was literally like some guy named Mikey. And I explained, he's like, yeah, you can come. And I was like, are you sure? What do I say if someone, and he goes, say I said you could come. So literally I walk up before I even get in there. The bouncer at the door was like, this is senior hours. And I was like, Mikey said I could come. I have asthma and I need, and she was like, okay, go ahead.
You have a guy? You have a Trader Joe's guy now?
Mikey, you got to say his name, honey.
What have our lives become? It used to be like a club. I know this guy. Now you have a Trader Joe's guy. It helps you get cornflakes because it's easy on your stomach.
Exactly.
I wish we had more time to talk. We have a couple more guests, but this was honestly very enjoyable to talk to you.
It was so wonderful just to see another human being. Gorgeous.
The podcast is called Couples Therapy. I highly recommend it. I was just listening to it just in preparation for this and then really thoroughly enjoyed the show.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And then there's Rants Online. So Naomi Ekperigin.
Thanks, guys.
That's going to do it for Naomi. Thank you so much for being here. My next guest, you know him if you're watching this channel. He needs no introduction. Please welcome Andy Richter.
Hi, Moses. Thank you for having me. We were taping, so I'm in the courtyard of Largo. But you'll hear some traffic noise.
I hear a lot of traffic. It sounds very...
I feel like the man on the street.
The last time we talked was when we were still doing the show for audiences. And you were telling me that on the old stages, you had a place where you could just go and disappear. Have you found a place there at the Largo where you could just completely disappear?
Well, this courtyard is nice. It's noisy, but it's nice. And I come out here when Conan is doing interviews, the Zoom interviews, because I just don't want to make, I'm certainly not going to listen to the interview. Because
it's a speakerphone conversation.
Yeah, he talked to Colin Quinn today, and I heard everything that guy had to say in 1995. Enough with the Colin Quinn. I'm just kidding.
Do you know there's different races of people in New York, and they came over at different times?
No, I love him, but honestly, no, I stay out of there just so I don't have to worry about if I get up or that the old seats in the theater will clank or something. Because when I first started here with them, I was in there for one of them, and I just was like, I'm too clumsy. I should be out here just so I don't interrupt. But also too, this place, I've known this place for a million years, and I've known everybody here for 20 plus years. So I was always very comfortable in this place, even before we started doing the Conan show here.
Yeah, because people don't know, this is the hub of essentially alt comedy, where you can really work out stuff before it becomes a special. People have taped their specials there. So it is a cool spot, and it's cool that you've taken it. So the place that you found to disappear to is the central courtyard?
Yes. Although, you know what? I mean, it's a different thing because I'm not here. If I need to hide in the hour that I'm here, I got real problems. I shouldn't be on television if I'm that.
Right.
If I need to hide that much. Yeah.
But this is how you got roped into this show. You were just too central. You were outside. You were not smoking. And they're like, hey, there's this kid that did stand up once.
They asked me. And then when I found out what time it was like I just did it here, rather than normally I would be at home. In my sad, dark little box that I live in. But here, here it's, like I said, I feel like a man on the street.
That is something I've noticed. I think people, when they do the show for the first time, they're like, oh, I hope Conan likes me. Immediately, I was like, I hope Andy doesn't scowl at me. Because I think, and please tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like you watch stand-up like comedians watch stand-up. Conan's very gracious of let's keep the show on the rails, even if you're bombing. But you feel like you know the mechanics of it, of yeah, that happened, sure.
On the Conan show, and Conan has said this, and God bless him, he never wanted me to be any different. But I will sort of laugh as a conversational lubricant.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I laugh when I think something's funny, which I guess is unusual. And I definitely felt when I went from New York to LA and came out here and had to go through like the sitcom process of the table read and then the rehearsals and everything, where everyone laughs real hard at everything over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel like you're crying wolf, like you're ultimately going to not be able to tell the difference between that's really funny and that's just okay. And I would have other writers say things to me, like, you know, you're not a big laugher, are you? And I would say, well, yeah, actually, when things are funny, you know.
Things are funny. We're not looking at a math equation.
And I'm not trying to be a dick. But I just think I'm trying to be honest about that one part of it. And because I always have felt that this kind of job, doing a late night talk show like this, you have to be yourself. You can't, you know, you're yourself in a sort of, you know, like when company's over, but you got to be yourself. If you're going to be fake laughing, fake reacting, it's going to suck, you know? And I just also don't want to do that.
I think that's what I was nervous about the second time I did the show, because you guys are more front facing on stools there. As you can see, and you know that you know all the mechanics, you know the punchline before it's coming, you know that you were not on a bus in Australia this morning.
And also to be fair to the stand-ups, a lot of times, you know, that's the end of our day pretty much. And I think, you know, and so it's kind of like, it's easy to zone out.
Yeah.
It sounds really shitty, and it probably is kind of shitty, but I guess I'm shitty.
No, I think it takes some of the mystery out of it, and I think it makes people less nervous to do the show, to know that, everyone's there doing a job, just do your thing. Table reads that you brought up are something else, where it is way too hot of an audience, where it feels like they got bullied into laughing.
Yes.
Because it's like network people there. So everyone's like, haha, that's the joke that I wrote. Everyone likes that. Have you ever bombed a table read?
I have not, but I have been involved in table reads where someone gets cocky and thinks, oh, this is just a table read, so I don't need to perform at my top abilities here. I can save it or something. I don't know. And they get fired. Like you can get fired at any time. And so it's like every time they want to hear you say a line, you better say it the way, you know, like the money way to say it.
Yes, you better have all the coffee or whatever drugs make you funny. Do that because it's the second to last audition.
Yes.
And I always cringe when actors will post the deadline article in Hollywood Reporter of like, booked it. It's like, you are so close to getting, you could be gone tomorrow. And everyone's going to be asking, what happened to that? Did I see you on the CW's Arrow?
That's the same reason that they recommend that you don't tell people that you're going to have a baby until the end of the first trimester.
Yes.
Because you might not be having a baby. It's just because it's just
equally sad thing
odds
is
are
losing a human being and a pilot. Yeah. Right up there together. In my mind, it's the same. There is a table read pressure on you now because essentially every night on the Conan show, you are the only audience member. Besides the crew, you're really the only one in the seats. What is that like? I mean, does it feel like you're Mark Ruffalo's character in Shutter Island? Where you're just like helping this man process, like you have a TV show, whatever trauma you need to process.
I mean, no, I'm just, honestly, this has just been so, from starting in quarantine for months and months and months, and then, you know, and doing the show from home and it being completely strange and, you know, getting an email and then shooting a bit myself, getting my own props and being like and I always did it like immediately when I got the email because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And I'd do the bit and send it off. And then I'd sit there and wait for the next email where somebody thought of a bit for me to do. So coming here was like, oh God, I get out of the house. Honestly, one of the best things about doing this is that you're around funny people and that you get to spend lots of time with funny people. And in fact, you know, in your personal life, you can spend so much of your day with funny people, and then you go home and you're used up all your funny, and the people in your house are like, hey, where's the funny guy? Like, oh man, I'm tired of being funny. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it is hard to talk to people that are not in comedy the same way, because I think people in comedy say the meanest things to each other.
Absolutely. Like that's like the way that we get to be funny around here is mostly mean. And I mean, and it's the kind of mean that comes from a group of people that are safe, that feel safe with each other. So you can really, you know, you can you can be a jerk, and you can, you know, and it can be so much fun, and there's such funny stuff, and it's all stuff that could never be on television just because
it is all cancelable material.
Yes, it's all either awful, you know, dark things, or it's about somebody that could sue. I mean, it's just, it's truly like one of my favorite things about doing this for a living is just to get around, and they're, you know, it's people that are paid to be funny. Like they're funny.
Yeah, which, you know, makes the roasting hurt extra hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've trained at this. They've been rewarded for it.
Even from you when you're a baby, comedy baby, you are making fun of each other. You are teasing each other, you know. I mean, at times it can be a bit much, and it can be more of a young person's game, because you just get older and you're like, there's enough negativity in the world.
You've also kept up with the podcast. You've had something to do in quarantine that you're still able to do.
Yeah, I have a podcast.
What's that been like? Focus on that.
It's been nice, and it's definitely in the early days was sometimes the only conversation that I would have with another human being face to face, even if it's virtually face to face. I mean, I'm always talking to my kids or texting with my kids, but there were like I say, there were days where, you know, the podcast I'd record for 2 hours just because I was happy to be talking to somebody. And I do just talk to people that I'm interested in talking to mostly. So there's very little kind of drudgery kind of interviews. It's usually fun. It's somebody that I'm looking forward to talking to, and I'm glad I had it to do.
Is there something you're looking forward to in 5 years when this is all over? It should feel alive.
In 5 years? Oh, Moses, no.
Yeah, I mean, the way this is going, this is brutal.
This is all so freaking crazy and so unique and so unlike anything that we've ever been through before, that I can't even picture. Like I think about what am I going to do at the other side of this, and I can't even picture it. I just am like, I've had deep existential moments of like, who am I and what do I do with my time and my, with my emotion and my actions. And
yeah, because other people, the way they react to you and what you put out, it essentially inadvertently tells you who you are.
Yeah.
Or at least reinforces the ego or identity. And it's very weird to not have that. To be like, hey, what do I do?
Yeah.
I thought I would do more. I thought this would be different.
Yeah. It's like down to like, I guess I'll still work in show business, but some days it feels like, am I still going to work in show business? And, and quite frankly, with this show ending in June, the TBS show ended in June, and not really knowing what form the new show will take it's weird. It's exciting in many ways to have that kind of, sort of change point, and those kind of moments of change, and I've been through them, can be great, and they're scary, but they can be really fun and good. But there's just like, I don't have the notion of like planning a vacation, like to make sure that you can get your reservations. Like I'm not even bothering with anything like that, because who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just
everything is
sitting here
becoming-
waiting for it to end, and then I'll see where my life goes.
That's what I've seen, especially with the Comic-Con shows. You're like, this, I didn't know how active you were in each of the sketches and segments. I'm like, no, let's just find it out for this. I think that's a lot of people don't see that work.
Conan relies on me because he trusts my taste and my judgment. So a lot of the time I just get is that good? Yeah. Or no. Or like I said before, it needs a new ending, or it needs this joke, or cut that part. You need somebody to turn to and go, tell me I'm not wrong. And if you do it right, you get somebody who will tell you when you're wrong, which is a truly beautiful thing about Conan O'Brien, is that he's willing to be wrong. He's willing to be differed with. I mean, to a certain extent, I can't say much. He may be here.
Does scream at you after. But yeah, you could be doing it long enough and still collaborate with people and still
Absolutely.
know that, hey, yeah, I don't know the best of the room.
And because I'll come up with stuff that I think is hilarious, and then I find out, it's not. Comedy is not it's not a poem. It's like, it's a democracy.
Yeah.
You'll find out that thing you thought was really hilarious is not that great, and you go, oh, okay,
Yes. Hence the need for live audiences.
Yeah.
To make the meritocracy work.
Yeah.
But this is always really great. You're someone that's, I don't know, it's very helpful to always talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Get your input on things. It's a good perspective.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it.
No problem. And I'll see you around campus.
Yeah. Be around. We know where you are. You're at the courtyard.
That's right.
Andy Richter, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Moses.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
My next guest is a hilarious stand-up comedian and one of the newest writers on Conan. Please welcome Skyler Higley. Skyler, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
What's it like joining mid-pandemic? Because if you're in a writer's room, it's essentially a lot of chemistry, and you have to do the weirdest thing imaginable, which is this cold Zoom meeting and technical errors.
It took, I would say, maybe slightly longer than usual, but I think it's fine now. Like, coming into a new writing staff, I think always the problem is, in a new group of people, it's always like, when do I make the joke? And the thing about Zoom is, if you try to make a joke at the same time as somebody else, it's just, nobody's going to hear anything either of you said. So that was kind of like the first big hurdle of like, when do I even talk? Because everybody is already on the same page about things.
I know what you mean.
Other than that, like, being in the room is one of the things I enjoy the most about my day, because a lot of it is particularly with the Conan staff, everybody's friends. So a lot of it's just like kind of bullshitting a lot. The same thing that Andy was talking about, being very mean to each other, or not each other, but being mean about things and making jokes that are like,
Yeah.
we're all just like hanging out. And then like a half hour or more into the meeting, then Matt O'Brien will be like, okay, let's read some pitches. And, it's like, we've been just doing nothing for a while.
Yeah, but it is a great way to go in, though, and you're talking like a human being and not just go in cold and have to read an incredibly dumb sketch.
Right.
Like, this is Dr. Fart Helicopter.
Right. And God forbid Conan joins the Zoom, then we're just like not even gonna get to any. Then it's just like, Conan bits, and then we just are like hanging out with him and having fun. So it's just like the most fun I think someone could probably have working in the time that we're working.
So you started as a stand-up in Chicago, and is this true? You grew up Mormon?
I did. And it was a thing that, like, I talk about it in stand-up a lot. It was a thing that I didn't even think was weird or like something that people didn't relate to until I was about a year in. And then everybody's like, you grew up Mormon. That's like kind of crazy. And I was like, oh, is it? And they're like, yeah, nobody's Mormon except for if you grow up in Utah, where I grew up, then everybody's Mormon. And I'm like, yeah, it's normal for like everybody in the same state to be like almost the same religion, right? And everybody else is like, no.
No, that is a Utah thing. That is, because it's a very specific one, and they get a lot of hate just because it's so new.
Yeah.
They need another 100 years until it's acceptable, or maybe just get out of Utah, maybe tour.
I mean, yeah, that was my thing, is I just had to like get out because I just I always felt out of place in Utah, and I just didn't, I wasn't the same as everybody else. It's a state that's like what 99.99% white. It's like me and the Utah Jazz are the only black people there.
Right.
And I moved to Chicago, and it was just much more like I became myself, I think, through like comedy,
I grew up very religious, and there's a back part of my mind where I'm like, what you'd make a killing is if you become a church comic.
Okay. That's something that I had considered because like, I remember when I was going to go into comedy, my mom, told my family, and immediately my grandma got me this DVD that was like to say like, hey, if you're going to do comedy, don't have to like curse and stuff. You could be like one of these like best Mormon comedians.
Yeah.
She had this like specific DVD that I never watched, by the way, that was just
Mormon
like
comedy?
Yeah, it was like Mormon comedy that was like, you ever be at church and XYZ, you take the sacrament and then you feel connected to Christ. Like, I don't know how that could be funny.
Brigham Young material.
But they make a killing. Just imagine being like, you're killing it. You're killing it for the Lord. So you think God is happy with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you get like a giant check, 10% of which you give back to the church, but that's okay. Like, I mean, that's got to be a pretty good living. You know what? I've convinced myself I'm going to go do church comedy now.
Wow.
What religion did you grow up in?
My parents made up their own thing.
They did?
They took a little bit of, Catholicism and made up their own thing, and tried to take that out on the roads. We were missionaries for that. And it did not work out. We had 0 followers.
How long were you a missionary for?
Maybe 10 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah. But not like help people and like staying with them and we're going to build a school. We were just like aggressive street preachers. We'd go to a concert outside of a Utah Jazz game or something and just be screaming at people.
Oh my God. You were like the people with the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure in Mormonism, like when you turn 18 to like, it's like men like go on missions for like 2 years where like that's your whole thing. Everybody's seen the Book of Mormon musical. They know how this works.
Yeah.
I was so afraid of like doing that because like by that time I was like, I can't commit to something like that for like 2 years and just do this like one thing. So you guys going like 10 years and then not even being like, knock, knock, hi, how you doing? Do we want to talk about this guy? But like screaming at people. That's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's a lot. So people are like, you nervous to do stand-up? Like, no, as long as I'm not telling older women that they're going to hell, I think I'm all right.
That was probably the
going to
thing
people in Walmart
that gave you the confidence to be like, if I bomb, it's like, I can bomb. It's no worse than the things that I've said to people on the street.
Yeah, but I think missionaries and religious people have insulated themselves so you can't bomb. So if anyone persecutes you, they don't get it. They're not saved. And I think comedians need that. We need a way to insulate ourselves because now if you don't do well or someone hates you, it's like, they hate me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do is like, if I get off stage and I bombed, I'm like, they didn't get it. They don't get any jokes. They all,
I am God.
Make it about them.
Yeah.
I think the only way to truly navigate comedy and not like be anxious and depressed all the time is you're either like anxious and like self-hating like me, or you are just a huge like narcissist and you think like everything you do is perfect. And I mean, like I go back and forth.
I wish I had more of the second one, just to be like, I see the clips that people release and I see the stuff they put out, and I'm like, I wish I had that confidence.
Can you imagine the pathology involved to like actually comment something negative on like something else that somebody made? Like, who are you? What do you do? If there are any negative comments on this, I will personally fight each and every negative comment.
I will find, now you're inviting them, but that's fine because that's just engagement and it's going to boost us in the algorithm.
That's right.
Negativity rises to the top to
Mm-hmm.
start the conversation. So people are like, oh, something, because there's nothing interesting about it. Killed it, crushed it, good. So people want, I think we should start a feud between us. We should be a huge blow up, so we have it in the thumbnail.
Do you want to just start just like some beef over some sort of like just some kind of public rivalry?
Yeah, it's gonna be great for our brands.
I'm gonna go hardcore into anti-masking. You can be because you'll be the fan favorite. I'll be the villain, and I'll just say, I won't even go anti-mask. They say you wear 2 masks now. I'm just gonna be going hard into like I only wear 1 mask, and that can be our split.
Yeah. See, that's the stance. That's the nuanced stance. Is the 1 mask guy. This guy sells out. PC culture wants him to wear 2 masks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck. It is gross that's what generates any sort of heat success. It's just the negativity. And I'm 100% down to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll get into a fight about joke theft, but it's gonna be the worst joke.
Right.
I stole from you, something that's incredibly corny.
Yeah, he stole my thing about how like sometimes you take an edible and then you're suddenly like so high out of nowhere.
The untouched
That was my
comedy market of I took an edible and then something. It's like every time I hear the stories, I'm like, you're an adult. You took an edible on a plane. What did you think was gonna happen?
Right.
You know, it's a story. You took an edible and nothing happened.
Or the whole like, I have worked with or around kids, and you know what? I don't like them. It's like great. Like we know.
Hot. Hey, I love it. Okay, well, we have a very bright future. I like this. I can't wait to see you again perform on a real show.
I know.
You're killing it on the show. Everyone loves you around there. So hang in there. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Skyler Higley, everyone. That's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. We hope we distracted you for an hour. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We appreciate you watching. Thanks to Naomi, Andy, and of course, Skyler. We'll see you next time.